Hey, welcome back to Real Talk Texas. This is Steve Hakes, your host of Real Talk Texas, here with some of our real experts from our expert panel. And you're listening to us on 570 KLIF. And I've got in the studio this morning, I've got David Selman of Selman Home Inspections and Sharon Harrison of Texas-based Nation Home Warranty. And so, Sharon, one of the things we were just talking about is some of the surprises people get when they have home ownership and they're in the house. And, you know, home ownership really has an additional cost, and that is the repair and maintenance of your house. Keeping that up, you know, throughout the year so that when you're ready to sell the house, you don't have any big expenses, and you just kind of chip away at those. But one of the things we talked about was after, especially first-time buyers, when they first get into a house, and the risk associated if there were a major repair that kind of came up, and that you guys cover pre-existing conditions as long as they have when they bought the house, an inspection done by someone like David at Selman Home Inspections. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, one of the things I wanted to kind of drill down to as well was we were talking about water heaters. Mm-hmm. And we had our water heaters in our house in Colleyville were in our attic. So one morning I got up and went into the master bedroom, and I see water just running down the walls in my house. And my wife said, "Oh my God." And we had carpet in that area of our bathroom, and it was soaked. It must have happened in the middle of the night. And I could see like the door frame was starting to move. And I just had this, we were like getting ready to remodel, and we had all this expense things that we were thinking about, and I was like, oh, I just want to burn this house down at this point. but you know, one of the things, so we called our home warranty company. They came out and they gave us a quote, and they had to, you know, take it out of our attic, so that was a little different cost than normal cost. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I wasn't aware, our house was only 10, 15 years old. And they were saying that our water heater was out of code, and so that I had to bring it up to code if they were going to replace it. And so that was something that was really surprising to me. Why does that happen? I mean, why couldn't they just replace it without bringing it up to code?
Well, what happened about 15 years ago, the homeowner insurance companies had been fixing all of the repairs that water heaters had caused, because water heaters were not vented. There were no pans underneath them. So for one water heater that would blow, it may cost them $10,000 or $15,000, depending on, you know, what they're replacing in the house. And so they instigated all of these new rules and all of these new codes to protect their industry, and actually basically to protect you as a homeowner from fire, because they need to be vented. Most of them are gas, and for the pans, so they don't ruin everything in your home when, like, there's a life of every piece of equipment. And you'll notice that if you've ever lived in a tract home where in 5 years and 3 days, there's water heaters on the front of every stoop because they all go out, you know what I mean? Yeah. In essence, at the same day. But they insisted that they be permitted when they're changed out, and then after they're installed, they have to have a green tag. And they also instigated where HVAC equipment, when it is changed out, you have to pull a permit, and then you have to have a green tag, because so many fires happen because people would install things and not do them accurately. So it's so important to get that green tag on those two pieces of equipment, because if they fail, your homeowner's insurance will not pay.
So I was wise in actually getting a contracted and licensed and bonded person coming out, rather than calling my Uncle Harry up and saying, "Hey, I need a water heater or something needs repaired." And so many of my members of my family in Ohio, I mean, everybody did different things. So
Sure.
they just would come over, and they would have the fix-it guy, you know, that would come up. "Oh, don't worry about that. I'll send Harry over to fix that for you."
Right.
And so,
well, knowledge is power, and knowing that the rules have changed is very important for every homeowner and every property manager. When I started in this business 25 years ago, I could change a water heater out for $50, and have done a million of them in my career. But now a water heater alone is like $800 or $900. They have tabs and pops and everything, and they become much more sophisticated because they cause so much damage when they burst.
Wow. And so if I did have my Uncle Harry come over, then possibly my homeowner's insurance might not pay for, like when ours happened.
Absolutely.
Our homeowner's insurance covered all the damage
Right.
that was happened from the water.
Exactly.
And I didn't have to have flood insurance or anything like that, so it just covered that part.
Right.
We had hardwood floors.
Yes.
And so that becomes
Right.
an issue.
Right.
So.
Because when their adjuster comes and sees your equipment and the installation, and that's another thing that home warranties cover, is improper installation. Because lots of things are put in and things can be rerouted and wiring done that are not up to code, and you're able to buy an optional coverage that will cover improper installation.
So if I was buying a house on M Streets, where we were talking about that earlier,
Yes.
how a lot of people like that old vintage house,
Exactly.
and it may have things like aluminum wiring and lead pipes and things like that. And even though it's all disclosed on my purchase, there are things that might need to be done to that house. And so what I hear you saying is that you'll cover any pre-existing conditions that maybe possibly David
Undetectable.
Undetectable.
That's the key word. And then the other things that you can buy an option for after you purchase your basic price is Freon or Puron recovery and disposal. Like we said, the code violations, Holloway is extra. The mismatched air conditioning systems, that happens all the time. You have a condensing unit that's in your backyard, doesn't match your evaporator coil, because you might have called a company that was unethical and they put a 5-ton and a 3-ton and will cover those and match those. Improper installation, cranes, like we were talking about, if you're actually with your
with
Sean, your assistant lives in a condominium and his air conditioning unit is on the second floor. Well, what happens is I would come and fix your air conditioning unit, but in order to do it, Sean, you would have to pay for the crane to get it down to me because it's specific equipment. So you can buy an optional package that will cover the crane, which you would need. And then, like talking about the water heater having to go up 18 inches, then it covers all the flues and the pipes that changes all those other governmental things. So there's all different ways that you can be covered, and mostly depending on the age of your house and the situation that you're in. So it's all very explainable in our contract. And we have.
Well, let me ask you a question. If I'm buying a house, I'm just going down that road because my oldest son really likes the older homes, and he's thinking about buying one. So once he gets the inspection done, all those things, he calls Nation's Home Warranty, and I hear you talking a lot. It sounds like an a la carte
yes,
menu of whatever I would like, and then the beginning price was around $375. And so if I wanted to get everything covered end to end, what would be the top end price?
Well, some of the optional coverages that you can purchase are your washer and your dryer and your refrigerator, because what a home warranty covers is everything that's built into the house. And so when the buyer moves into the house, we don't have David's inspection report on the refrigerator and washer and dryer. So that's an optional coverage because we don't know what they're bringing in. It could be their grandparents' equipment. So you can buy an option for your washer, dryer, and refrigerator. You can buy optional coverage for your swimming pool, for your sump pump, for
the swimming pool pumps that go with
exactly. So there's optional coverage, and all of the governmental things that we discussed earlier, from the Freon recovery and disposal. And so you can build it up, and it just depends on what you're going to cover. Also, we cover houses up to 5,000 square feet. If the house is bigger than 5,000 square feet, then you have to pay additional fees for every thousand feet. But the wonderful thing about a home warranty is it's not age. It's not like if you call some appliance companies and want to get a policy on your washer or dryer, if it's over 10 years old, they won't give you one. But a home warranty will cover any age of your house, any number of air conditioning units. Some do, we do, some don't. Some just go up to 2. So you need to go shopping. You need to take a look at all the different plans.
Well, and that also brings up, when you talk about age, I start thinking about, okay, well, we alluded to this before the break about if you're already in a home, and if you're listening out there right now, it's not too late to get the warranty. No. I didn't know that. I thought that it was kind of like a car. You get the warranty when you buy the car. And so I had no idea that you could buy a warranty afterward until talking to somebody in the industry, and they said, yeah, absolutely. I just got a home warranty on mine. My house is about 10 years old. Starting to get to that time where things might start to break. It's really worth the money to go ahead and spend the $500, $700 or whatever it was a year to have everything covered.
Right.
And so that's what I opted to do. And boy, was I happy that I did that, because it was, my friend was right. I mean, at that age of home, 10, 15 years, things start to happen.
They start to fail.
No matter what you do as far as is keeping things up. I mean, it's just the life of the product that's in your house.
Right. And the other thing that we have at Nation's Home Warranty is you can buy a yearly policy for a pre-owned home, or a monthly. So if you don't have enough cash to write a check for a yearly plan, you can come in, and there's several different plans that you can buy on a monthly plan, so you can have coverage immediately.
Well, that's really great. I mean, I didn't know that either. So if I is there like a down payment on it, or did you just start making monthly payment?
You simply call and pick your plan and put it either on a check authorization or a credit card authorization monthly.
Well, that sounds like the way to go. So if you're just tuning in and you're listening to Real Talk Texas, we've got 2 of our real experts here. We've got David Selman of Selman Home Inspection. We have Sharon Harrison of Nation's Texas-based. I want to say that because it is, the name of your company is Nation's Home Warranty, and wanted everybody to know that they are Texas-based.
We are local.
And we'll come back, and we're going to talk a little bit more about things that you might find at the beginning, and possibly what you can do when you're buying the house to maybe even finance part of the repairs, that if there's major repairs as a result of an inspection, and so that you can still get that house that you fell in love with. So there are solutions. Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk Texas. We'll be back in a moment.